Hi, welcome. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I want to thank you for joining me. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I go live on Mondays and now Thursdays at 2:30 Mountain Time to give you guys some tips and tricks and just play around with a free card class. So I hope you find these helpful. Today we're playing around with the Brewed for You stamp set. This is a stamp set that I figured a lot of people were going to look at and think, I don't know that I could do that much with beer. And I'm going to show you other ways to use it other than beer, because I think this can be used for a lot of different things. And we just need to think a little bit outside the box. So not only are we going to make a lemonade card, but we're also going to do a bit of a swing. Now, you don't have to do this extra cutout on the inside, but I wanted to be able to show you how to do it for those of you who are interested. I'm also going to do a second one where we're going to do the circles up here, but we're not going to do the cutout because it's always my thought that I want you guys to come away with thinking this is easy. I can do that. It's my job to take the stress out of stamping and help you make the most of all of your supplies and have fun, because we all know that this day and age, we all need to have some fun. So let's get to it. While you're here, don't forget to put in hashtag prize patrol. That is how you get entered into the drawing to win today's card. You want to make sure you do it with a little pound sign and then prize patrol, all one word. My computer is going to automatically pick up that little hashtag, and then we're going to do a drawing at the end. So stick around so you can see the drawing and see if you won, but also to see what I'm doing for Monday's live. Hopefully you guys are all aware that the last chance sale is going on right now. And if there was anything out of the January to June mini catalog that you wanted, some of that stuff's up to 50% off and things are starting to run out. So make sure you scoot on over there and take advantage of the sale. And then if you have purchased from me recently, you will automatically be getting the new, I want to call it the holiday catalog, but the July to December catalog that will be covering like the fall holidays. So Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas, all those things. It's all going to be covered in this book that will be going live on July 1st. So we have 2 more weeks of the sale, then the new catalog is going to go live. But I pulled out my Brewed for You stamp set because this is obviously the stamp set that I'm focusing on. But I also wanted to bring in this cup of tea because I'm going to use this lemon slice up here. I'm calling it a lemon slice. It could be it could be an orange, any kind of citrus, but today it's a lemon slice and we're going to use it for our lemonade. Get myself a little bit situated here. I put my prize patrol in another screen, so it's big and huge and over my head, so I'm not supposed to forget it. So best laid plans and all, but we shouldn't forget it. I try to spin that before we're done. Okay, now we do have some DSP that is designed to go with the cup of tea. And I did use a strip of it on the inside because I only had a little bit left over from my paper share and my new order had not come in yet. I only have a little strip of it here. But I want you to know we also have some great paper that is part of this host pack. Oh, I'm dropping pieces everywhere. But this is the huge pack that's available as a hostess gift. Now, I wanted to show you guys how big this is because I've already used this quite a bit. And there's still all of this left. And that's what's exciting about it, is that people see designer series paper as an option and they're thinking, we get those, 12 sheets for $11.50. And this is so much more than this. This is 48 sheets of 12 by 12 designer series paper. And you can either choose to host a party or you can choose to just place a large order by yourself. Now, remember, if you wanted to host a party and you're not local, we do those things on Facebook. I go live, I post graphics. It's just a one evening thing. You introduce me to your friends over Facebook Messenger. We do a little bit of fun and games in a private Facebook group, and then you get credit for all the orders they turn in. So just an option. Wanted to let you guys know that's available. I mean, as we're in this new day and age of everything being digital, we kind of forget that there's all these options. We can even do it over Zoom if your people are not Facebook oriented, or if you wanted to see everybody's faces, we do this. But those are all options, and they are not, drawn out over a long period of time. It's quick and easy, and you get all the prizes. Okay, we're starting out with, again, standard card base, 8.5 by 11, cut in half, scored in half. We're going to score this at 4 1/4, but then we're going to score it again at 2 1/8. And so this is going to give us the fold back. Okay, so all we did was we cut the front of the card in half, and then we folded it back on itself. So it's kind of a, a mountain fold. So one mountain, one valley. But in order to get this little swing circle out of it, what I did, and I did it on the big cut and emboss machine, and it doesn't fit in the screen well. So I went ahead and did it before we went on camera. But the idea was that I set my circle down on my grid paper. And then I kind of figured out, okay, I'm about 1.5 here, about 1.5 here. And then I used a Sharpie to mark the center. Then I moved it over to my Big Shot platform, or my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine platform, and I set it on that score line. You can't really see with the way lights are, but it's on the score line. My little black marks are right in there. And then I took my top plate, and rather than put it on square like we would normally do, that would cut the entire circle, is we're going to pull it back here, and we're going to run it through the machine with only half of the plate on our circle. And so it's only going to cut where it has the top plate. So this is going to be the part that cuts, and then this won't, because there's not enough pressure on there. So that's going to leave that hole. And that's what gives us our little swing. So now, when I go to fold this, I'm going to go ahead and burnish that score line. And then I'm going to burnish this score line. See, and that's how I got that extra little cutout. Is that making sense to everybody? You can do it with the cutout, or you can do it without. Both are going to work. For both of them, I went ahead and used our layering circles dies. And I did a scallop that was just a teensy bit larger than that one, because I wanted to use the stylish shapes to do this one in the middle. And the reason I'm not using another layered circle is the layered circles are straight, which is fabulous. I mean, that's if that's what you have, go ahead and use a straight circle. It's all good. That will work. But if you wanted a little bit of extra stitching, that's where the stylish shapes come in. And so these are just like the ones we had before, and that they're, circles and squares. They're going to nest with our other ones. But this time they've added a few banners, and they stitch inside and out, just like our rectangle dies do. So this is a set I can't recommend enough, because I just think that little bit of stitching gives it that little something extra. And I really like it. And basic shapes, you just can't go wrong. I mean, you can use them on everything. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to use the lemon slice. So let's go ahead and pull that out. And that will be with Daffodil Delight ink. So I will need that. And then out of our Brewed for You, I'm going to use this tall glass, and then the liquid that goes in it. Now this is little dots. These are effervescents, which, you know, if you were doing some kind of soda like the root beer, I could have put it in there. But lemonade doesn't have effervescence, so we're not going to use that. And then I'm doing this stamp right here, but you'll notice it says another round for your birthday. And in my card, all I have is for your birthday. So I'm going to show you how we did that partial stamp. So let's grab that one. Okay. Make sure I've got this straight. And remember to use my own little tricks. We're going to leave this on the grid paper. Make sure we're straight. I'm going to make this straight with the grid paper and pick it up. Now, when I ink this, I'm going to have a piece of washi tape covering the words I don't want to use. So I'm just going to lay that over the top. Now, if this was red rubber, I would be inking with my markers, and you can do that with the photopolymer, but it doesn't work as well as it does on the red rubber. So I'm going to use the washi tape so I can stamp on my pad. It's also for those people who have kind of shaky hands. This works better in that you don't have to worry about, you know, overlapping and catching a little bit of those extras. Oh, Johanna, I'm so glad you caught us live too. That's great. Make sure you type in hashtag Prize Patrol. That's how you get a chance to win the card I'm making today. Somebody must be here. There goes the dogs. Okay, so for the front, I'm going to take my designer series paper, and I want a piece that's going to be 2 inches, because remember we did our score line in the middle at 2 1/8, and I want a skinny little border. So normally it would be 5 1/2. I'm going to come down to 5 3/8. And I have to do that down here at the bottom. That's the only place I can see. But I'm doing that there. Okay, so I have one for each card. And then, oh, geez, I wonder who's here. I know they're supposed to be doing a survey in the back. There's some empty lot back there, and I did get notice that they would be doing a survey at some point. I wonder if they're here. Sorry, muted that a little bit while I yelled at them. Okay, so here is our layer for the front. And usually when I'm using the 1/8 inch border, I come in with liquid glue because it's so tiny. I want to be able to have that wiggle time. Otherwise, I almost always use the Stampin' Seal because it dries real fast. But in the case of a tiny border and my wishing to align it straight, drying fast might not be a good thing. Okay, so there's one. We can do this other. Now, I don't have to worry about the fact that there's not going to be any DSP, you know, on the rest of this circle, or that I didn't cut out this, because the circles are going to go over the top. And so that's just going to bury it. So no need to worry about having this cut in there, because we're going to just take our layer and we're going to put that right over the top. And again, I'm going to use some liquid glue, and then I'm going to set it down. Notice I didn't go all the way to the edge because I'm going to come back here and I'm going to be watching the edge for where it looks like we're centered. Okay. And then we will have one of these for the inside of that, one of these for the inside of that. That we're going to stamp on, and this we're going to stamp on. Oops. Okay, now, see the boo-boo I made? Because I don't have that extra layer from the half circle, we only want to glue half of this. So I'm kind of hastily removing part of the glue I had down there. And this is still going to be a little bit tacky, but that's where the little adhesive remover is going to come in handy. So let's go make sure that's done. We'll wait for this to dry. And then I have this kind of hunk of rubber, which appears to be out on my desk somewhere, but I think you guys have seen it. Here we go. It's this. This is an adhesive remover. And what it does is you just kind of rub it on the back of this, and it's going to remove that adhesive. And, you know, it's not quite dry, so it's not working totally, but later on, rubbing this will rub all of that off. As an alternative, one of the things you can do is dab it with the back or with a embossing buddy or a little bit of baby powder, something that's going to make that non-sticky. So I did make a goof, but you know, sometimes that's good because it shows you guys how to fix those little things. Because I do make goofs. I promise. I do them all the time. So don't feel that just because you made a goof on your card that you're no good at it, because that's not true. Okay, so here's my glass, here's my insides, here's my sentiment and my lemon. So now we're ready to start our stamping. We're going to do our glass on here. So I did this with smoky slate because I wanted something kind of transparent. You know, it's not really, but you know, it's a glass. We don't want it to be dark black, I don't think. And I'm going to go a little over to the side because I wanted some room to stamp my lemon down here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we need our Daffodil Delight to put our lemonade in the glass. Again, this is something, I don't know if you saw my live on Monday, but we had put clear embossing powder over the top of it. I stamped right over the top in Versamark, put some powder on it, tapped it off, and then we used the new little tools that came with the new embossing buddy and embossing tray, and we made the glass shiny and the wine inside look like it was actually liquid. We could do that here too. I'm not going to for the sake of time, but we could. And then I'm just taking something, this is a light soft seafoam. You could use light pool party, just the lightest color that you have out there, just to put a little bit of a halo around it. Again, I'm trying to make this glass appear as a glass rather than just stamped on white. And I'm going a little outside, and that's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with the color lifter while this is still wet, and we're going to try to drag this around. So I'm going to lighten the edge, and you'll notice I'm dragging away from the cup. Now, if I had gone outside the lines by accident, I would be going from the outside in because it would push the liquid that way. This time I want to pull the liquid away towards the outside. But if I was trying to do a correction, I'd be pushing it back in. I did that the other day on something, and I don't even think you can see. Here you can kind of sort of see where I had gone outside the lines here, and then I just took my color lifter and I pushed back in that way. So it does work both directions. Okay. I always get sidetracked giving you guys all these little tips. I hope you find them helpful. Sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I do often have new people that have not heard all these things yet. Or maybe we just heard them and forgot. And then because I'm not doing the heat embossing over it, let's do some Wink of Stella. Did you know you can use the Wink of Stella in colors? I'm just doing clear right now because that's what it comes into. But if you put a little bit of your re-inker, say, onto here, you could then pick it up. I don't want purple on today's card, but you could take your Wink of Stella, squeeze out some, the clear. And now you're going to have Wink of Stella in a color. Did anybody know that? Then when you're done with it, it's just like our our water painters. They give them a new name. It's not an aqua painter anymore. But anyway, those, when you're done with a certain color, you would just run it on the clear scrap paper or white scrap paper, whatever, until you've got it running clear. The same with our blenders, pens. So, like I said, getting sidetracked. Squirrel. Okay. Back to our card. Okay, here we go. I'm going to stamp one direct, and then I'm going to stamp on some scrap paper for the extras. So let's just, while we're doing these, let's get them all done. I can't remember. There might be a die that cuts out the lemon, but it's so easy to cut with scissors. I didn't bother. I just went ahead and cut it with scissors. And I need one for the outside, or actually two for the outside, huh? Forgot that one up top. And then one for the inside. Oh, and I guess before we put this away, I should go ahead and stamp the sentiment and show you how I did that. So I'm just inking it as normal, and then I'm going to take this washi tape and peel it off. And there we go. We just have one part of our stamp. So I did that just by placing washi tape down on the top, inking up the stamp, gonna peel off the washi tape, and then stamp. Because sometimes, you can't find the exact right sentiment, and I didn't think that top phrase, another round, really went with lemonade. I mean, I guess it could, but like I said, we're trying to show you something different. Okay, then we're going to come in, like I said, with our scissors. Top's easy, that's just straight. And then I'm aligning my scissors and I'm turning the paper instead of my scissors. I keep my scissors where they're comfortable and turn the paper to get my close edge. So what do you think? What direction would you go with this card? Would you do this simple one where you just fold, or are you going to try to make the swing with the cut and emboss machine? Or is this card not something you even want to try? For those of you who joined us late, don't forget to type in hashtag Prize Patrol. And if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and have notifications turned on, it should let you know when I go live and give you a little reminder. I do it twice a week. If you ever have any questions about Stampin' Up, feel free to contact me. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. I love to help people make the most of their supplies. And if you need a catalog, I can do that too. Okay. I'm going to put my strip on first. So that I can run it all the way to the edge. I didn't buy that swing framelit from years ago. It was like 30 bucks. And I thought, why should I buy that when I can do it on my own? And, you know, today we did it with a circle, but you can do it with almost any shape. I've done it with one of our little houses. I've done it with an oval, a square, a flower. You can make that swing with any die cut you have. And I certainly wasn't going to buy a framelit for every shape I wanted. I think the one with the house was the cutest. It was a little Christmas card. But yeah, if you have the swing framelit, go ahead and use that. Okay. Now you may have noticed, I must have had ink on my fingers somewhere, but there's a little tiny little smudge. And that's where my sand eraser comes in. Again, this is on my recommended products list. This is just a sand eraser. And you don't want to rub too hard because you don't want to destroy the paper, but if you give it a light little brush, and I usually try to go in a couple different directions, and it pretty much takes it off. So that's just a mono sand eraser from Tombow. From my blog, you go to shop and then products I recommend, and my mini magnets and all those sorts of things are all right there. So this is where I had that excess glue, and this is what the adhesive remover does to take that off. That's on my recommended product list too. This is something Stampin' Up! Used to sell and stopped. You can find it there, or you can also find it at the dollar store if you're into saving money. Okay, Here we go on that one. And I don't use a lot of adhesive. I don't know if you can see, I only put about 1 inch in each corner. You don't need to go all the way around like we used to have to with the snail, because this does stick a lot better. Okay. You don't want to use too much liquid glue either, because that will have a tendency to warp your paper if it's too much glue. So just a little thin line. And always put the glue lid right back on right away. You might want to keep a quilting pin or something around, because occasionally that little hole will clog up. But I have found that a small quilting pin fits in there and removes the clog. Some of my ladies had started to carry one in their little kit they bring to class. I have suggested that everyone make a little kit that has, you know, paper snips, your bone folder, and, you know, your various adhesives, those sorts of things. And that's what they bring to class. And I noticed the other day, several people had a pin. Okay, so let's see. How do I want to do this? Okay, so one there and one up top. So one looks like it's hanging on the edge of the glass. This one's on a dimensional, so it pops a little down here. I'm not going to pop it here. I mean, I guess I could, but usually I try not to pop anything on the inside of a card, because then they don't close real well. But I guess we don't need to worry about that, since that side doesn't close. Good job. I actually was looking today. I need to buy some more gum containers. If anybody doesn't know what she's talking about, I bought these packs of gum that came in the hard plastic cases, and like doled out all of the little gum to my grandkids and neighbors. And then I use my label maker and I put what kind of embellishments are in there. And since we've had a catalog refresh, I need to do new labels, but I use my label maker to label them all, and they sit in my drawer like this, so I can see them all. Oh, good point. I never thought about pins not being stainless steel. Okay. And there we go. There are our 2 cards. One has the circle swing in it, and this one does not. So whichever one you choose to do, that's one way to use our Brewed for You stamp set, all about beer, and make it lemonade. Okay, so next week we're playing with the new Hello Harvest. Here we go. Bundle. So Monday, we will be using this one. When I did my catalog reveal and showed you guys all the new stuff that I got, this was one of the bundles. The dies are over there. But this is what we're using. And I was looking at it thinking, okay, they're pumpkins. But there's also some flowers in here. So I've been doing several cards that don't use the pumpkin. Because this could be used at another time of year. And, I used the DSP that goes in the back. And I colored it with our alcohol blends. This was black and white. And I used my blends to color it. This is the new corner punch that we have. So that was one option. Oh, we also used the masking paper to cover this because obviously my flowers hang a little lower than that. Some of you saw the hinge stamping technique that I did. That's on my Instagram and TikTok, and it's kind of all over the place. That's an option. This is another way to use our circles. There's this one here, and there's more, but that's just some of them. But I think this is what we're going to do on Monday. This is kind of a little basket card. There's a pocket up here that you could actually put things into, and I kind of made the flowers look like they're popping up out of there. We did some alcohol blends on the outside. We used one of the dies with some adhesive sheets. And if you'll notice on here, our puff paint is coming back. The Snowfall Accents puff paint was something we had in our catalog last year in July to December, and it's coming back. And not only can it be used for snow and bunny tails, marshmallows, anything white and puffy. I also used it for my cotton on here. So we'll show that. Remember, it does have to be heated with the heat tool. It doesn't just puff up on its own. You put it on there as a liquid, you heat it with the heat tool, and then it puffs. Yes, a gift card would fit. Because my flowers are half in and half out and they're glued down, it might be kind of iffy on this one. But if I didn't have that there, yeah, absolutely a gift card would tuck right in there. So that's what we will do next Monday. And then I'm going to find something else that we will do on Thursday. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. This is your last chance to enter in hashtag Prize Patrol so that you can get entered into the drawing. I only have 3 people, so you have a really good chance of winning. Make sure you get that in there. So here's our 3 people. Anybody else going to put in hashtag Prize Patrol? Remember on Facebook that you need to put in the permission for StreamYard to see your name. And that does need to be done with each device that you're on, because it kind of ties into, like, leaves a cookie or something. Some people have said it's gotten removed, and maybe that's the antivirus software removing cookies. I don't know. But Facebook doesn't want to give me permission to see your name without your okay. So the link is always in the description of the video on Facebook. YouTube doesn't require it. Don't know why. Okay, 4. There we go. Let's do our drawing. So Janet is the winner of today's card. So congratulations, Janet. That card will be off in the mail to you. I do have your address. If I didn't, you always want to make sure that you enter that on our claim form, which is at queenbeecreations.net/prize patrol. So congratulations, Janet. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I will see you on Monday at 2:30 right back here for another live. Thanks for joining me. Bye.